Hi everyone, my name is Indira Bandari and today I'm going to show you how to get started with Python for all SQL and data professionals. To start off, let me introduce myself. I'm working as a senior data consultant in Datacom. I've started my journey in New Zealand way back in 2002, where I was a information analyst and then played different roles like a CRM developer, BI developer, etc. And fast forward to 2015, I started attending meetups and started contributing back to the community by being a co-organizer for a couple of meetups and also SQL Saturday and presenting at a lot of user group meetups and also conferences like Dfinity, Pass Summit and Microsoft Ignite. I have a master's degree in statistics and in 2019 I was first awarded with the Microsoft Data Platform MVP. And in my pastime I teach kids all about technology. I started a charitable trust called Kids Tech Charitable Trust in 2020 last year, and if you like to contact me, my contact details are here, my blog link is here, and my LinkedIn details are here. I would like to share a short story with you. One day my colleague, a data specialist by name of Chris, who is an expert in SQL, asked me, Indira, you have been using SQL for so many years and now I have been observing you that you started using Python for over a year now. What makes you use Python when you have SQL for your data needs? So what I said then was, that's a great observation, Chris. The reason I started using Python lately is because it is easy to use and gives me the power and flexibility to answer my questions, all the questions that I have about the data. There are many easy to use Python libraries to make data exploration convenient and easy. This allows for iterative data analysis. So then what he said was, hey Indira, can you please be my friend and explain me how to get started with using Python, and being an SQL professional, what are the things I need to be aware of when using Python? So what will we learn today? We will learn how to create a data frame, view top 5 and bottom 5 records, selecting and slicing, which includes selecting a few columns to display, selecting a few columns not to display, selecting rows to display, which is similar to our where clause in SQL, and also which includes multiple criteria, displaying the last n columns, and how to display column data types. And we will look at some basic aggregations and also column statistics and data frame statistics, and also we will look at how to create a simple plot. So here I have given how to set up the environment, some links, how to install Python, and also set up your development environment. I will be using Anaconda. So the development environment that I have given you is the link to Anaconda. So after you install these two, we will be using a Jupyter Notebook. Once you set up your development environment, just go into the start and then start the Anaconda Navigator. And that takes a little while to open. After it opens, it will give you all the tools that you can use from Anaconda. I'm going to open a Jupyter Notebook. You can either open it from there or you can go to the start button and then choose Jupyter Notebook to open. So I'm going to click on this Jupyter Notebook, but while that is opening, you can see these tools, that these applications that are there which you can use. So there is a Jupyter Lab, there is a Watson Studio Cloud, Jupyter Notebook, PowerShell, all these you have access to, even Spider. So I'm going to use a Jupyter Notebook, which now it is open here. So it opens a local host at 8888 port, and this is all the environment. It has files running and clusters. So if you look at the files, you can see all the folders and the file structure. In order to open a new Jupyter Notebook, what you need to do is you need to just click on the new here on this side and then click on the new Python. So if I click on that, it opens up Jupyter Notebook. As you can see, Jupyter Notebook is a web-based application that allows you to create and share documents, and this contains live code and all the explanatory text that you create, and also if you create any visualizations, that holds that too. So here, if you can see this, there are two types of cells here. This is called a cell. This is a code cell, which is indicated by this one, and you can also add a markdown cell, and you can add a heading and use that. So I have just converted this into a markdown cell, and if you want to run a cell, you just need to click on Shift and Enter. When you save this notebook, it saves as a .ipynb file. So in a markdown cell, you can just write some text. So I am starting to write the text with hash, beginning with hash, which will give a heading. So I'm just saying getting started with Python, and then make sure you have a space between the hash and your heading, and then now you can press Shift and Enter. So that has converted into a heading. Now you must have noticed automatically another cell has been inserted, and that is always a code cell that gets inserted automatically. So in Python, if you want to comment your code, it is hash and then you can comment. Let us get started. So that is a comment, and before we start, what we need to do is we need to import some libraries. So, and here you see the untitled, so you can just double click on that and then rename it to say getting started. Now for importing libraries, there is just a simple command called import pandas. Pandas is the library that we are going to import, which will help us in exploring the data. So the syntax is import pandas as PD. What is PD? PD is similar to the alias that we use in SQL. So we use, if we are defining a column name, if you are calculating if you are doing a calculated column in SQL, we just do the calculation and then we give the name to that column name to that calculation as and salary or something like that. So you can use it, you can think of PD as an alias. So I'm going to run this one. So Shift Enter is the command. Now it is in edit mode. So once we run here, it if you have noticed, it changed to for a star and then it has imported. So if there are no errors, that means it has imported. Now in the next cell that has been created, what I want to do is to turn this into a markup, and then I want to paste some text here, which is, I want to create a data frame which is similar to a table in SQL, and the data for that is in a CSV file which is called movies data. And if I run this one, the code cell automatically gets created. And before we import the data into data frame, let's have a glimpse in the CSV file. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to import this movie metadata, which has all these columns: color, director, director name, actor 1 name, actor 2 name, actor 1, Facebook likes, and it has a lot of columns and a lot of rows. So this CSV file we are going to import using a read CSV function. So I'm going to write the code and the comments. Data equals pd.read CSV, read underscore CSV, all in capital, all in small letters, and give the path. The movie metadata.csv file has been stored in my C drive in data folder. So when I run this one, shift enter, now these 1 and 2 are showing that they have been run. But how do we view the data? Before we view the data, so this one liner is similar to, if we look at similarity with SQL, we need to create a table in SQL and then also insert the data from the CSV into the table. And when we are creating the table, we need to define all the columns, all the 28 columns I think this particular CSV had with the data types. But for Python that is not needed. Otherwise we could use the import export wizard in Management Studio. So now let's see how we can view the top 5 rows. I'm going to use the PD. Now here this data is stored in a data frame called data. So this is what we will be referring to in our future lines of code. So now to view the top 5 rows or top 10 rows, I think, yeah, top 10 rows, there is a command called head command, so which we can use, head function. So it can be used like this: data.head, and within brackets you pass on the number of records that you want to see. This is similar to select top 10 star from data in SQL. So when I run this one, we will see, shift enter, and then we can see all the columns with a scroll bar that appears, and it says 10 rows and 29 columns. Yeah, this particular thing, the particular file had 29 columns, and all of them have been, we are seeing all of them. Okay, so now let us see how to view the bottom 5 columns. There is something called, I'll paste the same thing, and there is something called tail. One is head shows the top 10, and tail shows the bottom 10. So this is similar to select bottom 10 star from data in SQL. So when I run this one, it shows 10 rows and 29 columns, but it comes from the bottom. If you see the index there, the ID which is automatically created by Python, that is shown there. And when you look at the head, it shows the 1, 2, 3, 4 till 10. Now let us see how to display columns. So there is a columns command which I'm going to use it with the data frame called data. So for that it is just data.columns, and everything is in lowercase, and I press shift enter, and here is the list of all the columns that we can see. You can convert this to a list as well. So data dot columns to list dot to list with brackets, and then shift enter. So it now shows neatly in a list form. Now let us see how we can display just one single column in the result. So now what I have written is, I have the data frame called data, and within square brackets I specify the column name, which is gross. I'm using the gross column name from this list, which is the gross amount that was spent for making the movie. And then I'm using that in conjunction with the head function, which displays 5 rows. I want to display 5 rows of just the column gross, and this is similar to select top 5 gross from data in SQL. And notice that here, unlike SQL column names will mostly not have the inverted commas there. It will have, if there are spaces in the commas, we will have brackets, square brackets like this, but no inverted commas. But Python will use inverted commas for column names. So this is gross, which is displaying, and the data type also is being displayed here, which is float 64. Now if we want to look at multiple columns, display multiple columns, it is quite easy. So let's say I want to display gross and along with movie title. So I'm just going to insert two inverted commas and movie and title. Movie underscore title is the name of the column, and both of them will be separated by a comma, which is similar to let's say top 5 movie title, movie underscore title, comma gross from data. So display multiple columns. Now let's press shift enter, and something is wrong. Okay, so here what is wrong is we need to include another set of brackets when we are including multiple columns. This is not required for single column. So square brackets begin before we start the column name, and then end it after the last column name. Control V, yeah, I think, and we need to close the, yeah. So now this has two, notice that this has 2 brackets and before the beginning and 2 brackets before the ending. And then data, okay, this says unexpected indent error, so we should not be indenting. Just remove the indent and then run it again, and then everything is fixed. So indenting also plays an important role in Python. Now you can also use a variable to store the column names. So for that I'm going to create a variable called call names, and I'm storing this in the two column names in a variable called call names. So call names has gross and movie title, and this we can print to see what it is printing. Print command is similar to print in SQL, so you can just print the column, the variable, and also use that same variable in printing the top 5 rows in data, in the data frame. So if I run this one, you can see that it has printed the column names gross and movie underscore title, and also printed the top 5 rows of these 2 columns. Now let us see how we can select some rows. So selecting rows is similar to the where condition in SQL, and for this we use lock function, and this is the code for a single condition. So the condition now here is give me all the data that has gross which is greater than, let's say, $1,000. So for that, use the data frame, that is data dot loc, and then here within brackets we are mentioning the single condition from the data frame. So take the data from the data frame, you take the gross column and then see whether it is greater than or equal to $1,000, and then display the top three. Top three can be displayed by using the head function which we have seen earlier. So this is something similar to select top 3 star from data where gross is greater than or equal to 1,000. So when I run this one, so you can see the first 3 rows where the gross, if you look at the gross column, it is more than 1,000. Maybe everything is more than 1,000. That's not a great example, but yeah, you can see that this is the where condition with a single condition. Now let us see the multiple conditions code. So here I have 2 conditions. Again, I'm using the lock function, and I have started one condition with an open brackets, normal brackets. So one condition is included within normal brackets, and then the other condition, before starting the other condition, I am using a AND because that is my condition. Or you can use OR as well with 2 pipe characters. I am using an ampersand, and again within the new set of brackets I am giving the condition as country equals USA. Notice the two double equals here. So when you are checking the condition in Python, you need to use double equals. So 2 times you need to press equal. So here, and then I'm using the dot head function to display the top 3 rows. So here, this is similar to top 3, select top 3 star from data where gross is greater than or equal to 1,000 and country equals USA. So let's run this one and see what happens. So this should display top 3 rows and all columns because we have given star. But the condition is we are using 2 conditions with 2 columns, gross and country. So let's look at this one. So 0, 1, and see it is displaying the third one, not the second one. If we look at this one, this is displaying 0, 1 and 2 because the 0, 1 and 2 with the first condition has the third row has UK as a country, but because we have given the country as USA, it is not displaying the second row, but it is displaying the third row from the data frame, which is having USA as the condition. Now let us see how to display the last n columns in Python. So this is possible with -2 or -3. Let's say I want to display the last n columns. So that means it should display, according to this, it should display aspect ratio and movie Facebook likes. Those are the 2 columns that are there in the end. So for that, I'm going to use again my data frame, which is data, and within data I'm going to use the columns command, which we have seen earlier, and within brackets I use -2 and colon, and I'm going to again use a head function to display the top 3. So let us run this and see whether we can see the aspect ratio and movie Facebook likes. Yeah, so it displays the 3 rows and the last 2 columns. Now let us see how to get the data types of the columns, which in SQL we define the data types when we create the table. There is a command called dtypes which can be used with the data frame. So data.dtypes will give you the data type of each of the columns there. So let us run this one. object is nothing but a string or a varchar variable, and float is similar to the float in SQL, and most of them are objects and floats. Notice that the budget is of data type float. I want to change that to integer, so let us look at how to do that. This is similar to the cast function or a convert function in SQL. We need to allocate the change to the column, so that is why we are including a equals here. So we are choosing the budget column from the data frame called data equals, and then we are changing that budget column into integer by using the as type function, which is similar to cast. So let us run this. Type d types and then shift enter, then it is showing that the data type is integer. Now let us have a look at basic aggregations. Aggregations in Python are done by group by, which is similar to a group by function in SQL, group by clause. So here I am grouping by country and giving the summarization as mean, that is average. So if I don't give any columns, it just groups by all the columns that are similar to integer and float columns. So you can see all the integers and float columns saying average by country. So it has grouped by country. Now let's specify to aggregate by one column, which is movie Facebook likes, and I'm going to change the aggregation to sum, and still I want to group by country. Let's run this. So now it is displaying the sum of movie Facebook likes by country, and there are 65 rows. Next we will see how to display two columns, summarize two columns by aggregation sum and group by country, and that is the syntax. Notice the two brackets, double set of brackets here, which is similar to what we have used earlier. So now I am summarizing Facebook likes and budget by country. Now let's see how we can group by two columns, which is country and genres, and aggregating two columns, movie Facebook likes and budget. So now there are two, so for each country it is displaying genres and then the summarizing columns. Now let us look at some statistics. Data frame statistics is one of the statistics is length of data, which is similar to select count of star from data. So it is showing 5039 records. Another important function for statistics is column statistics is called value counts, which is something like this command is select count of star from the data, group by country, because I have mentioned only one column, so it is giving the number of counts by country. If you want to use help for any function, what you can do is you can put a question mark, and then you need to mention the PD is the alias, if you remember, for when we imported pandas. So pd.value underscore counts exclamation mark. If you give that and try to execute it, it will give you all the details of what you can use. Let us try and use drop na equals false. What this will do is it drops all the false records and then gives you the counts. The data that I have used doesn't have any missing values, so it doesn't make a difference. Now let us try and create a simple chart of color by using color, and the kind of plot that I'm using is bar. So I just specified kind as bar, and look at the graph that it has created is content rating. I'm plotting the graph for content rating, and you get all the ratings like this. So that was the Python demo. So just to recap, we have learned how to create a data frame, view all the top and bottom 5 records, and also do some aggregations, column statistics, and also create a simple plot. Thank you for listening. And now, what are you waiting for? Get started with using Python with the resources that I am providing. And also, don't forget to give us your feedback. Your session evaluation is very important to us. Thank you.